This is exactly why you should always check your rig out before any long trip. I was gearing up to drag a trailer up to Oregon to pick up my next BMW project. Then I found this. My Centerlink had sheared in half. I had heard a clicking noise over the last couple days, but I didn't think it would be this bad. Yup, my Centerlink is sheared in half. Well, today we are going to start the teardown on old Big Bertha. I got parts on the way. Let's get after it. All right, Sage, let's get this pig pulled in the shop. Come on, girl. Load up. Good girl. Who doesn't love a diesel cold start? Come on, girl. Now, I have not done this Centerlink repair before, but what we're going to have to do is pull both front wheels off. We're going to have to disconnect at least the inner tie rods from the Centerlink. We're going to have to disconnect both of these Heim joints right here, one there, plus the idler arm and the pitman arm, and then we should be able to get it loose. Oh, steering stabilizer too. Start with chocking this rear tire. Using my big beefy 6-ton floor jacks today. I'll just put them both here. Give it a shake. Little safety catch. Just in case things were to go wrong. And just to show you what I've done to the truck so far, new outer tie rod, new inner tie rod, Cognito upper control arms with new ball joints. I put in sway bar end links. We got the King shock with remote reservoirs. Those are really nice. Been really happy with those, so just a couple tasteful modifications. So we're gonna have to disconnect the tie rod here. This is our Centerlink. It has one bar that goes up and one bar that goes down. Two Heim joints that are connected, steering stabilizer right there, and then idler arm and pitman arm. I think it would be a good idea to pull the outer tie rods. That way we can just get to the inners, pop them loose, unscrew them, and then we'll have those completely separated from the Centerlink. I got a feeling the air hammer is going to help a lot today too. Got to grease everything up on this truck today while we're in here. Gotta love the air hammer. Such a good tool. Try to use the Harbor Freight adjustable wrench here on the inner tie rods. Unless I have to go to the auto parts store for a new wrench, because I don't have a size that'll fit. Hey, there we go. That's good news. Could be tighter though. I need to snug these up better. What's funny is I'm more comfortable working on BMWs than I am this big truck, just because it's stuff I'm not familiar with. But you know, that's what makes you a better mechanic, stepping out of your comfort zone and doing things that are new and intimidating. It's either I do it or I pay a shop to do it for me, and I'm not about to do that. Not on a DIY channel. Nice. Okay, so here's the front end. I think I'm going to disconnect these two Heim joints next. This front one mounts to the cross member or the front subframe. Same with over here, and then the back side of them mounts to the back side or the bottom side of the Centerlink right here and right over there. I think I'm going to disconnect them at the Centerlink and just fold them over to the side. That way they're in the same exact location for when I put the new Centerlink in. That bolt looks pretty terrible. Probably going to refresh that at the hardware store or something. Yeah, that Heim's got some play. I was going to order up freshies, but they were like over $100 per Heim. And so I figured I'm just going to wait, get this repair done first, see how the truck drives, and do those later. This Heim feels good. So next step is going to be disconnecting that idler arm up top right there with that nut, removing the steering stabilizer from the Centerlink, and then removing the pitman arm nut right there. I'm also going to attempt to zip tie this lower radiator hose out of the way a little bit because it doesn't have its factory clips anymore, and it does tend to get in my way. That one's loose too. This should come out now. There we go. Now this thing was rusted and leaking and not looking pretty. So time to replace her. Now that leaves us with just the idler arm nut and the pitman arm nut holding this Centerlink in place. This one's going to be tough. This one might be a little easier, we'll see. Now it is extremely close to the ear on that front differential mount, so I think I'm going to get in the truck and try to turn and angle that pitman arm out. And this one is a 22 millimeter. Now I'm just going to have to separate the union there between that tapered fitting on the idler and that tapered fitting on the pitman. And I think that's going to be probably the most challenging part, but we'll find out. I'd love to be able to just get a mallet in there and hit it down from the top, but access is pretty tough, so we'll see. I'm just going to try to tug on it a little bit and see if it wants to go. With my second to biggest pry bar. Cool, there goes the idler. And getting this thing removed from the truck is going to be a whole nother story. Yeah, that pitman's going to be a bit tighter. Okay, I'm going to try to sneak an air hammer down here and just hit on the lower section where the inner tie rod goes in. See if you can just jar it loose a little bit. Ooh, how's my finger? Problem with this puller is it doesn't have anything to bite onto, so I think I need to scratch that one. Well, I went and checked the front gate and my new Centerlink is here. This is from CST Suspension, California Super Truck Suspension. Now this is not a factory Centerlink, as you can tell. It's pretty beefy. The reason for that is if you do want to lift these trucks with the torsion bar suspension, you can't just put bigger torsion bars in it. You can do torsion bar keys, which are really going to max and stretch out those torsion bars, but you also put your CV axles at a very steep angle and you wear out CV joints a lot faster. So what they do is they fabricate an entire dropped cross member or front subframe drop kit, and so it drops the differential down, CV axles to get them nice and straight, and it drops everything down, including the Centerlink. A factory Centerlink would have idler arm, pitman arm, and then the inner tie rods would attach somewhere around here. but they have to fabricate up this big beefy tubular Centerlink in order to compensate for the dropped height on the outer tie rods. So that's why it has the Heim joints, and that's why this thing is so big and beefy, and I had to get it from CST Suspension. Now, Paul was a super good help on the phone over at CST. He took good care of me, gave me a good deal on it, and got it out to me quick. So just want to give a quick shout out to CST Suspension. Thank you for your help. And that's why this thing is so big and beefy, and why I had to get it from them. It just got back from the powder coater, which was why I was delayed a couple days on getting it, but it looks really good. The welds look decent quality from what I can see, so I'm excited to get this thing back in. Now we got to figure out how to get that pitman arm stud removed, get this Centerlink out. Okay, what I'm going to try next is I put the nut back on the pitman arm stud there, and I'm going to take my air hammer and go up and make contact with the stud and drive it forward and up towards the pitman arm. And what I'm hoping to do is break the seal loose on that tapered stud. Yeah! Nice! Man, you gotta love an air hammer. I know they're expensive, and so they're not, accessible for everybody, but I've seen them at Harbor Freight for pretty cheap, and whether you're doing tie rods or steering components, whatever, I mean, air hammers come in handy so often. And I don't think we did any harm to the pitman arm there. So now, our Centerlink is completely free. Boom! We don't even have to take the sway bar out. Hell yeah. Great news, guys. Great news. Now, I wanted to talk about how I think it possibly broke once I got it out. And so, they look the same. That's good. Just want to mock them up next to each other. Make sure everything looks right, and they look good. The Centerlink fits into the front of the truck like this, right? And this is our shear location. I'll give you guys a little bit closer look real quick. You can see a lot of rust at the location that it's sheared. And so it's been cracked for some time. At least that's my guess. And what I think happened was several years ago after I got this truck, the head gasket failed. I was chasing down a coolant leak, and I was back at the oil filter housing, and I noticed a fossilized mark of some coolant that's been tracing down the block. And so I pressure tested it, found an external coolant leak at the head gasket. So I left the car torn down with oil out of it, and I called a tow truck to take it up to Logic Diesel and Automotive in Huntington Beach, where my buddy Adam did the head gasket for me. I was working at the BMW shop at the time, and I did not have the tools, the knowledge, or the resources to do the head gasket on this truck. It's a 38-hour job, labor-wise, to do both heads. And so I had to outsource that job. But what happened was the tow truck driver lashed his tow hook to winch my truck up onto the bed, onto the steering stabilizer. So I think that may have put stress onto this mount here, which does come down and tie into it right here. Now, it's possible that it cracked it and then just driving caused it to shear over time, but that's my best guess. That's the only damage that I've ever had to this front end. And after he did that, the steering stabilizer, the rod was bent, and I had that steering stabilizer replaced when I did the head gaskets over at Adam's shop, and the truck was driving fine, but I think over time this started to crack more and more because there's quite a bit of rust inside there. So I think this is not fresh. I think it's been there for some time, and it just got bad enough to shear completely, and that's when I was able to notice it. So that's my idea on how this thing sheared, and as of right now, that's my best educated guess. But I'm super excited. That actually came out a lot easier than I thought it would. I was expecting this job to take me all day, and then getting the part tonight, I expected it to probably be a 2-day job. It might still be a 2-day job, but at least coming out, it came out pretty easy. So now it's time to get it swapped with this nice shiny piece of jewelry and put everything back together and see how it works. Although I think I need to get stuff cleaned up a little bit before I get back to work. So I'm going to get a little tool reset going here. I'm a big fan of getting stuff cleaned up mid-job and getting everything neat and tidied up again. Hi, puppy. Come here. Hello. Thank you. Ooh, you're dusty. Got dirt in my mouth. You got a dusty little snoot. Safety glasses. All right. I think I'm just gonna snug those up. Try to tighten them the best I can and then just continue working forward and just sort of torque everything as I go. Now I'm going to start torquing everything with the 1/2 inch. I don't have torque specs, but I'm just going to try to go nice and tight and cotter pin everything that I can cotter pin. To invest in some 1/2 inch extensions. The cotter pin is a little short, but my access with the Centerlink there is a little tough, so that'll do. It's torqued down and cotter pinned. Idler arm. Idler and Pitman are tight and cotter pinned. I picked up a new Monroe steering stabilizer this morning because this one just looked old and tired. Yeah, about 68 bucks. Now, I guess the factory steering stabilizer utilizes this piece of hardware right here, but I'm not going to be able to do that because I think it's just a different setup with the CST kit. This one just has a through bolt, but that through bolt is super loose and undersized, so I think I'm going to need to go to the hardware store. The holes on the Centerlink are about this size, but this size is a lot smaller than the actual steering stabilizer itself. But what would be best is to find a sleeve that goes into here. Now, I might just go to the hardware store now, see if I can find a sleeve that'll fit this, because that would be perfect. I do need to refresh this hardware for the Heim joint anyways. I washed the old daily the other day, scrubbed the wheels. She's looking good. The paint's still ugly, but looking a lot better. Come on, Sage. Load up. Good girl. She's been leaking in the eyes a little bit. I switched her food. It might be allergies. Who knows? It's hot in here, though. I gotta get the windows down. Let's roll, puppy. All right, we got 2 to replace these 2. Now we just need to try to find a sleeve. Found a sleeve that fits perfect. Just need to update this hardware. All right, we're set. We got a sleeve, 2 Heim bolts, 1 for the steering stabilizer. We got the goods, Sage. We got the goods. The old Speedy Taco, always coming in clutch. Little break for some carnitas street tacos, a bucha, and some YouTube. Back to work we go, Sage. Come on. See what these chickens are up to. You guys are getting big. Hi. Hi, guys. Give them some mealworm treats later. Okay, before I get the steering stabilizer back in, I do need to trim down the sleeve that I bought, and the old steering stabilizer looked like it was almost contacting right here. So I'm going to shave this collar down on the steering stabilizer as well. Using the little die grinder with a sandpaper bit. Much tighter fit than the previous 3/8 bolt. So I'm pumped to be upgrading this hardware and getting that spacer installed because there was too much slop in that steering stabilizer before. Okay. Hell yeah. Steering stabilizer is refreshed and in. This thing's starting to look really good. I love this shiny Centerlink in here with that new steering stabilizer already. Next step is getting these Heim joints reinstalled. Got one there, one over here, and I'm going to need to refresh these eventually. Not right now, but eventually. Of course you're not going to want to fit. I really don't want to adjust it, but I might need to. Maybe one rotation. And the reason for that is these Heims were installed with a different Centerlink, and that Centerlink may have just been fabricated a little bit different, but 1/2 turn on it got it to line up perfect. Drop this bolt back down. Beautiful. That's what I like to see. Lock that Heim back down. Then we'll tighten these up in a second. And we just need to do the same thing to this one over here. Okay. Turn this in. 1/2 turn. So it doesn't rotate. There we go. We're learning so much today, guys. That's the great thing about these jobs. You step out of your comfort zone, and I'll tell you what, I've never felt more confident with the steering system on this truck than I have after today. Because now I pretty much have replaced or touched every steering component on this truck. So if anything happens or I have any diagnosing I need to do, I'm very familiar with the setup. And so I'm feeling a lot more confident. And that looks pretty good. Feels really good to be wrenching again, guys. Waiting on truck parts, you know, and another 1/2 turn. Okay. When this truck went down, I didn't have my truck anymore. I was just kind of at a standstill. I had a bunch of motivation to get up to Grants Pass and buy that new project car, and to take you guys halibut fishing with me, and to get the boat out, and to do a bunch of cool stuff. And then when I found this broken Centerlink, it just took the wind right out of my sails. And it sucked. I had so many things on the list. I couldn't work on the chicken coop because my truck was broken, and feels really good to be making some progress on this, getting my truck back on the road. And I got a bunch of other stuff lined up for this month. And a new project car coming hopefully real soon. It's just nice to be wrenching again and making content about what I love, which is wrenching and fixing stuff and showing you guys the process. So if you're still watching, I really appreciate you. Right in my mouth. Girl. Happy girl. Yeah. Hi. Oh. Hi. Hello. 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 Hi. All right. Don't pop and hit me, wrench. Just a quick side note, guys. This video is not sponsored, but I do have a membership program through my YouTube channel. It's less than a cup of coffee a month, $2.99, and if you guys want to join that, it's a great way to directly support me. I'm trying to make this my full-time job, and it's not always easy. Sometimes it's been a little bit of a financial struggle. So if you guys want to support me in any way, I highly suggest checking out the membership program, or I have a Patreon account too if that's more your speed. I'll put the details for that down in the description below. Appreciate you guys. Let's get back to it. Look at all that shiny powder coated black. It's starting to look really good, guys. The Heim joints are in and tight with all new hardware. Steering stabilizer is in and tight with some new hardware. Idler arm is tight and cotter pinned. Pitman arm is tight and cotter pinned. I believe the last thing we got to do, guys, is just put these inner and outer tie rods back in. So we're getting super close. Okay, tie rod time. Now before I put this driver's side back on, I might be able to remove this clip and get this boot reinstalled again, so I'm going to give that a try. Right on. I was able to get that clip reinstalled on the boot, so that should help with the longevity of the tie rod. So when it comes to working on this truck, I don't have a lot of the bigger stuff, which is why I'm using an adjustable wrench to snug these down, you know. It works, but it's not ideal. Here I just got some brake cleaner and a rag, and I'm just going to clean up this knuckle right here before the tie rod goes back on. These outer tie rods like to leak all their grease, so I just want to clean it up, make it look pretty. And let's go line up the passenger. I've replaced practically everything. Steering column, the hydro boost assembly, because these trucks don't have a brake booster. Diesel engines don't make enough engine vacuum for the power brakes to be driven off, so it uses hydraulic pressure from the power steering fluid system. And so power steering fluid actually runs up to the master cylinder area, and that was leaking at one point, so I replaced that. I even replaced the top half of the steering column that goes up into the steering wheel because it was making a noise. I've replaced the steering box, the pitman arm, the idler arm, inner and outer tie rods, now the Centerlink, and the steering stabilizer. The only thing I haven't done are those two heim joints, which I will. I'm going to run these tie rods down with the impact gun, cotter pin them, and check them by hand after I hit them with the gun. I forgot to record, but the cotter pin is in and trimmed up. Hopefully that weed whacker isn't too annoying for you guys. Nothing I can do about it. I'll never be a neighbor that asks someone to not make noise, because I'm one of the neighbors that's always making noise. You know? Alright guys, we are officially buttoned up and tight on the Centerlink. Inner and outer tie rods are torqued and cotter pinned. Idler arm is good. Pitman arm is good. Steering stabilizer is good. Heim joints are good. Now we're ready to clean up a little bit and get some of these tools cleaned up off the floor, put the wheels back on, take this thing out for a test drive. Now before I put the wheels on, I'm going to try to clean up these shocks a little bit. They're so beautiful that they deserve to get cleaned up. And Josh has my metal polish, so simple green will have to do for today. I don't know if I'll be able to hit these, but the first will be these upper control arms. Now, if you ever need to put big truck tires on, I like to lift it up with my legs so you're not just using all back. Okay, here we go. Right on, right on. She's looking good. Time to fire it up and just rotate the wheels left to right. I'm gonna stick you guys underneath. All right, guys, fingers crossed. My 1/2-inch torque wrench is down, but this is sufficient. Just want to make sure they're tight. Well guys, Big Bertha cooperated real well today, so let's give her a little wash down. Trying a different technique today where I spray it with soap and then I'm going to spray it off with water, hit it with soap again. Let that first round of soap really break all that stuff down. I'm using the foam cannon from Stoner Car Care as well as their mother of all bubbles foam cannon wash. We're all going to buy car care products, so if you're going to buy from Stoner, use code DAYOFF15, 15% off on their website. Look at this crazy girl. She got eyes full of mud. She's been digging for gophers. You look like you got mascara on. You look like a Marilyn Manson puppy. Well, it wasn't the perfect wash, but she's looking like her bad self again. Big Bertha's coming back to life, baby. Sage, load up. Good girl. Oh yeah, baby. Big Bertha's back. Yoo! Say she needs an alignment. So we'll knock that out tomorrow. Definitely drives different with the airbags in the rear. It's a bit more bouncy, but I'm really excited for the extra towing capacity. She fast, baby. God, I love that torque. Ladies and gentlemen, Big Bertha is back. That's gonna wrap this one up, guys. If you think I've earned it, please feel free to drop a subscribe down below. Here is a beautiful view of the north coast of California for making it to the end. I hope you enjoyed, or I hope you learned something new. And as always, folks, I will see you on my next day off. Cheers.